We heard the road before we saw it. Voices. So many voices. Not like the quiet conversations we had grown used to, where words rose and fell gently between people who were walking together. This was different, layered, overlapping, pressing. By mid-morning, the path widened and narrowed all at once, not physically, but in experience. There were simply too many people for it to feel like a path anymore. Pilgrims, families, men walking in groups speaking loudly, women balancing bundles, children darting through spaces that didn't exist until they made them, donkeys, carts, dust. We were no longer a group moving through the land. We were part of a current. I tried to pray. Lord, a shoulder brushed mine. Someone called out behind me. A child cried. I lost the thread. I tried again. Lord, but my mind kept catching on everything around me. This isn't working. I glanced at Claire. She was not untouched by the movement, but she was not resisting it either. Francis saw it. He slowed, lifted his hand slightly. We gathered as best we could along the edge of the road, people still moving around us, through us, brushing past us without noticing who we were. This, Francis said gently, is part of today. He did not raise his voice. He did not try to quiet the crowd. We are not the only ones walking toward Jerusalem. A man passed close behind him, speaking loudly, his words spilling over Francis's. Francis didn't pause. Sometimes, he continued, the cross we are given is not solitude. He let a group push past us, but interruption. I felt that immediately. Claire stepped slightly closer. There are times when we long for quiet, she said, for space, for uninterrupted prayer. She looked at each of us, and instead, we are given people. Someone brushed her shoulder. She didn't react. Francis smiled faintly. This too can be offered. The Desert Father spoke. Noise reveals the heart. I didn't like how true that felt. Colby stepped forward. Today, he said, we walk with Simon of Cyrene. There was a small shift in the group. Simon. He had been with us, walking quietly beside the Desert Father since his return. No explanation, no introduction. We had all assumed a saint, one of many we had met, but we had not asked. Now Francis turned toward him. Simon, he said gently, and something in the air changed. Simon looked at him, then at us. He did not step forward immediately. He looked at the road, at the crowd, at the movement pressing past us. Then he spoke. I was not looking for him. His voice was steady, unhurried. I was coming in from the country. The road moved behind him, around him, but somehow we heard every word. I had work to do, things to attend to. I was thinking of ordinary things. He paused. Then the soldiers came. Something in his voice shifted, not fear, but memory. They were forcing their way through the crowd. People moved when they saw them, some out of fear, some out of anger, some just to get out of the way. His eyes shifted slightly as though seeing it again. I did not move quickly enough. A faint smile touched his face. They saw me. The road pressed around us. The noise continued. One of them grabbed me. He lifted his arm slightly as if remembering the grip. I did not understand what was happening at first. I thought perhaps I had done something wrong. He shook his head slightly. They pulled me forward. Silence, even with all the noise. And then I saw him. The words settled. Simon's voice softened. He was already carrying the cross. I felt my chest tighten. It was heavier than I had imagined such a thing could be. He paused, and he was already weakened. I glanced down. Not weak in spirit, Simon added quietly. His eyes met ours, but in body. The Desert Father bowed his head slightly. Simon continued. He stumbled. My breath caught, and when he fell, the cross fell with him. The crowd surged around us, but we were not in it anymore. They shouted, Simon said, the soldiers. They did not want the procession to stop. His voice hardened slightly, not in anger, but in clarity. So they chose me. He let that sit. I did not volunteer. No one moved. I did not understand. He looked at us. I did not want it. The honesty in that. And yet, he paused, they placed the cross on me. I could almost feel the weight of it. It was rough, unbalanced, heavier than I expected. His hands moved slightly, unconsciously, and I was angry. That surprised me. I had done nothing to deserve it. His voice was calm, not defensive, not true. I did not know this man. He paused again, but I saw him. Everything in me leaned toward that. He looked at me. Simon's voice softened, not with apology, not with demand, a breath. With something else, he searched for the word recognition. The Desert Father's eyes closed, as though he knew I would be there. My throat tightened, as though I had always been meant to carry it. Silence. I walked behind him, Simon continued. The weight was mine now. He looked down, but the suffering, he shook his head, was still his. Something inside me shifted. I felt the strain in my arms, my back, my breath shortening. His voice slowed, but I also felt something else. He looked at us again. The closer I walked to him, the less it felt like punishment. I didn't fully understand that, but I felt it. It became, he paused, participation. No one spoke. When we reached the place, he said quietly, they took the cross from me. His hands stilled, and I was left standing there. The noise returned from the road, faintly, like a distant memory. I could have walked away. He looked at us, but I did not. A long pause. That day changed my life. He didn't explain how. He didn't need to. We stood in silence. Then Francis spoke gently. Friends, do I notice the people suffering around me? He looked down. Do I hurriedly pass them by? The crowd pressed against us again. Do I offer a kind word, a prayer, help in some way? This was no longer abstract. It was everywhere. When I see someone struggling, am I generous even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching? The Desert Father added quietly, or only when I choose it? Francis finished. Do I ask myself what I can do to lighten the crosses of others? Then, as always, we walk. And he stepped back into the current. This time, everything looked different. Liam was struggling again. I saw it immediately, not dramatic, but real. His steps were uneven, his shoulders lowered. The crowd moved around him. He stumbled, not fully falling, but enough. And for a moment, no one moved, not because we didn't care, because we had just heard the question. And now we had to answer it. Simon stepped forward first. It was unanticipated and yet perfectly expected. Not quickly, not urgently, simply present. He came beside Liam, and without words, he placed his arm under his. Steady. Liam hesitated just for a moment, then let himself be helped, and they walked together. Maria moved closer to Lucia, sharing what she carried. Aoife slowed to walk beside someone we didn't know. And Sean stopped. I watched him. He looked at Liam, at Simon. His mouth opened, then closed. Then he stepped forward, not with words, with presence. He walked beside them and stayed. No jokes, just there. The road stretched, the crowd surged, the heat pressed down, but something had changed. We were no longer just walking toward Jerusalem. We were carrying, sharing, choosing, even when we had not chosen. By the time we reached the edge of Jericho, the light had softened, the noise had thinned. We made camp. After we ate, Francis gathered us. Private devotions. We knew the rhythm. Worship first, then scripture, Luke 23:26. Observation, application, prayer. Write or draw, and give thanks. Go. I found a place to sit. I set my walker beside me. My body felt everything. worship. Lord, I stayed there. I just basked in his presence. Then scripture. They seized Simon of Cyrene. Seized, not chosen. Application. I only carry what I choose. That was hard to write. I had to think about that for a long time, and I still wasn't sure what to write. Prayer. Lord, help me say yes, even when I don't choose it. I sat with that. My mind drifted back to Bill's accident, and I was left, cruelly, traumatizingly alone. He and I had just listened to Father Mike talk about taking up our cross. There was a deep recognition the day after Bill died that I needed to listen to that talk again, to say yes. But I had no choice. Yes, you do. You can choose to just survive, to fade away, or you can say yes to life and choose to survive. That is taking up the cross. I wanted the former. I couldn't understand why God hadn't let us die together. But each day I said yes to life, daily, sometimes several times a day, sometimes hourly, sometimes submissively, and sometimes angrily. But always I meant it. I didn't want it, but it was what was placed on me. I sat there for a while, remembering the pain, the confusion. Around me, everyone had found their place. Claire, Francis, Colby, the Desert Father, David, Mom, Dad, Maria, Lucia, Aoife, Sean, Elizabeth, Simon, and Liam. Liam sat beside Simon, not alone, and for the first time, I understood something I had never fully seen before. The cross is not always chosen, but love chooses to carry it anyway.